Welcome. Great to have you here.
Thank you, guys. Well, I've got notes, so because I'm like way this side of 50, so I'll apologize up front. Hopefully you don't mind. So it is certainly my pleasure to be here with you this afternoon, and certainly to thank all of you, the Hispanics in the crowd and all business people, because this really reflects the dedication you have to your communities here. And I'm a resident of Reston, Virginia, so not Prince William County, but I was doing a little bit of research on Prince William, finding out it's the second largest and the fourth fastest growing county in terms of population.
Oh.
And that kind of diverse population brings so much potential for growth and for real depth, real richness in the county. Its percentage of the Hispanic population, which is also the fastest growing population in the United States, is higher at 22% in comparison to the state of Virginia. And clearly this diverse strength has a lot of potential for the county and for the nation. Before I talk a little bit about my own professional background at CIA, I want to set the scene for the state of Hispanics here in the country today. So during this past decade, Latinos have made a lot of important gains in terms of several key areas of well-being. So in the good news front, educational accomplishment, health insurance coverage, teen birth rates, and youth incarceration rates. A major success in this past decade has also been the narrowing of the high school graduation gap between white and Hispanic youths. But there still is a gap, and a gap in a number of social and economic indicators. For example, new projections show that the number of low-income Latino youths could increase by 45%, from 11 million today to 16 million by 2050, if the current levels of inequality continue. It's also harder to be Hispanic today in the United States, according to a new survey from the Pew Research Center. Nearly half of the Hispanics say that the situation has worsened for them, people of their own identity, in this past year. And a similar percentage has said that they're very insecure about their place in this country. Traditionally, Latinos have been very positive and very optimistic than other demographic groups here in the United States, and especially around prospects for their families. But in the past 3 years, the share of Hispanics who actually expect their children to be better off financially has dropped about 18 points. In addition, nearly 4 in 10 Latinos have said that they've experienced some type of discrimination in this past year, such as being told to go back to their country, or being mistreated for things such as speaking Spanish in public, or kind of displaying some sort of identity linked to their national heritage. But an equal number has said that someone has expressed support for them during that period because of their Hispanic identity. So given this is election day, and it's really encouraging to see a lot of I voted stickers today, more than 29 million Latinos are eligible to vote nationwide this year, with a pool of eligible Hispanic voters having steadily grown for the past several years. Between 2014 and 2018, an additional 4 million Hispanics have joined the voting pool. But the Latino turnout rate in midterm elections has declined since 2006. the turnout rate among Latino eligible voters dropped to a record 27%. And unfortunately, it's young Latinos who have really contributed to this drop in this rate. So in 2014, just 16% of eligible Latinos aged 18 through 35 voted compared to 36% for those 36 and older. So at the same time, younger Latinos are making up a large percentage of that eligible voter group. So when I think about these metrics, both here in the county and nationwide, I'm struck that this is both a challenge and an opportunity for us here in this room. Why? Because I believe that Hispanics, especially young Hispanics, are hungry for role models. And that could be each and every one of you in this room. A bit later, what I want to do is share kind of a model for thinking through how you can boost your potential to be one of the most influential role models out there for Hispanics. But first, I'll tell you a little bit about myself beyond what was in the bio. So I retired about a year and a half ago from the Central Intelligence Agency, and I had a 33-year career with CIA. And my career in national security was unexpected, and certainly my rise to the senior-most ranks of the organization was surprising at best, given my background. During my career, I lived in Asia, Africa, and Europe. I took on some really challenging and tough assignments along the way. And I had a really wildly diverse career with lots of different types of challenges and opportunities. So beyond my career, my own story is that I was born and raised in Los Angeles. I'm a third generation Angelino of Mexican American heritage. And I was lucky enough to be born into a family that really valued education, reading, and accomplishment. And my father had achieved his associate's degree on the GI Bill at UCLA Night School, and my mother worked in a factory. And while college was an expectation for me, I was the first in my family to go away and obtain a 4-year degree. Most of my role models growing up were my teachers, and most of them were female. But these were models of young, independent, well-educated women who traveled, who were smart, and really built their lives around the goals that they set for themselves. And because of my primary role model, my Spanish teacher in high school, I chose to major in Spanish in college. And I applied to one college, the one she graduated from. And I studied during my junior year at the University of Madrid, just as she had done. Now, the irony of my academic pursuit in Spanish language and literature is that I grew up in a home where no Spanish was spoken. And this was intentional, because both of my parents, having been born and raised in East Los Angeles, knew the pain of discrimination against Mexicans. My parents, who were born in Los Angeles and raised in Los Angeles, would have said that they were Americans. And they vowed never to have their children experience this type of discrimination if they could help it. So when I told my father that I was going to major in Spanish in college, he did not talk to me for a couple of weeks, not because he wasn't proud, but I think because he was kicking himself for having to pay for a 4-year degree in a skill that he and my mother could have easily imparted should they have spoken Spanish in the home. I think while my parents were personally proud of their Mexican American heritage, It was this heritage that was really a cause for fear. And I believe in my generation, I converted that fear into shame. So you'll recall the data I mentioned a little bit earlier that nearly half of the Hispanics surveyed are insecure about their place in the United States. And we really need to address that today. In other words, we can embrace our proud heritage, but we also need to create a greater sense of security for people here in this country. So, what can you do to address this situation? I'd like to share a threefold strategy with you. The first pillar of this strategy is action. Get involved in education in some way, shape, or form. Education is the genesis of almost all Hispanic success in this nation. And whether it's speaking at a career day, running for school board, or being an advocate for underrepresented students in your local school district, your voice and experience really matter. Children, teachers, administrators, other parents, the larger community need to see Hispanics who want to be part of the solution to all of the challenges around education today. Get onto at least one nonprofit board and aspire to corporate board membership. Sadly, the percentage of Hispanics on Fortune 500 boards has remained stagnant since 2015. So it's right around 2.6% of board members being Hispanic as of 2017. So what this translates to is roughly 3/4 of Fortune 500 companies have no Hispanic board members. The numbers are even lower when you look at Fortune 1000 companies, with Hispanic board members remaining around 2.1%, and more than 82% of Fortune 1000 boards still have no Hispanic board members. The second action you can take is diversify your network. Think about the people who are in your network. Are they from a similar background? Are they from the same area of business? Do they complement you or do they mirror you? And I get it. We all like to be hanging with our own because there's a comfort in that. But research says that minority networks are not as powerful as other networks. Why? Because we don't have the numbers in positions of power. So if you think about your network, it might be comfortable enough for you, but look at it objectively and see if that network is really going to bring value, not only to you long term, but to others. The second pillar of this strategy is attitude. So no matter how proud we can be of our heritage, unwelcome social messages still can seep through. And unwelcome messages about the value of Hispanics in this country today can kind of chisel their way into our hearts and our minds, despite our best efforts to remain hopeful and positive. On balance, I'm sure in looking across this room, all of you are quite successful, that you may experience a little bit of imposter syndrome every now and then, given the professional success. But I would say that all of you seem very secure in who you are and what value you bring to this community because of your track record. But think about a young person who's still trying to navigate their way in this world And the attitudes and messages that are coming at them might not all be positive. Some of those messages might be hurtful. Some of those messages might be hateful. We took a driving vacation to Spain earlier this summer, and part of passing the time, we came up with this little game. We were just looking up the names of the translation of Spanish names. And this activity actually brought us such joy and a sense of pride. And I really wonder how many young Hispanic youths really know the meaning of their names and the rich history behind those names and feel a sense of pride. Names like Caballero, horseman, knight, Hidalgo, nobleman, Romero, pilgrim, Cortez, courteous or courtly, Ballestero, royal armorer, or Rodrigo, famous power. So finally, the third pillar of this strategy, I call outcomes, or really actions you can take on behalf of others. Make valuable connections for young and old. Ask yourself, how can I help this one person? It might be through an introduction. It might be through a recommendation. It might be you asking your network, hey, can you help this person find a job or get a much needed experience as they're trying to acquire a new skill? You are all successful, and celebrating your success for you and your family is really important. But leveraging your success on behalf of others is powerful. Be a sponsor. This means putting your reputation on the line for someone else. It can mean setting up a small scholarship or pooling some monies to help out a college student in need. It could be setting up a summer internship program for somebody, a young person who might not have the best grades or the most polished skills, but would benefit tremendously from seeing you and your leadership in action and knowing that you took a chance on them. That could change a life. In addition, if you have employees, invest in them. Send a deserving employee of yours to a professional development course. I'm an ASE board member, ASE is focused on professional development, and there are lots of organizations out there that offer skills and experiences and stretch opportunities in the professional arena. And by sending one of your employees and investing in one of your employees, it really shows how much you care about not only that person, but the future and the future of your business. So with that, I want to congratulate all of you on the success you've achieved so far, because I know there's more to come. And I want to thank you for your commitment to this community here in Prince William County, because Hispanic success matters, not only to us in this room, but really to our nation. So it's quite an honor to be here with you all today, and I look forward to your comments and your questions and engaging with you. So thank you.